Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please excuse an orange glow that you might see coming from this direction. I've got a heater on in the workshop because it is absolutely freezing in the UK at the moment. This week's video is another customer commission. I've actually got 3 pieces to work on, but I'm just going to be concentrating on this one in the video. So my customer actually found me right here on YouTube, and she saw this piece that she absolutely loved, and she's chosen her own colours to go with her own decor that I'm going to be painting these 3 pieces with. I've got a piece here, I've got a piece here, and then I've got a small side table up on the workbench over there. So I'm going to be painting them all in the same kind of colour and finish. So I'm only going to be showing you this one during the video, but I will show you all 3 at the very end. So these pieces are all modern, they're from Oak Furniture Land, and they have a shiny factory finish varnish on them. So the only time I will need to strip a piece of furniture is if I'm going to be wood staining it or if it's got wax on it. Other than that, you don't need to strip furniture in order to paint it. All you need to do is give it a good clean. That's not because this furniture is dirty, far from it, it's absolutely immaculate. However, sometimes you can have invisible things sitting on the surface that's going to interfere with your paint sticking to the surface. Things like silicone-based polishes, even some cleaners have essential oils in them, which if you go straight in and sand your piece can be driven further down into the wood grain and cause problems with your paint sticking, which is the last thing we want. So I always clean first. I always use a degreasing cleaner. The one that I use is Dixie Belle's White Lightning, and then I did a light scuff sand with my electric sander just to scuff up that original shiny finish. My customer knew exactly which colours she wanted to use, so I am following her brief. So the first colour, and the colour that I'm going to add some texture additive to, which is the powder that you saw me adding in just a second ago, is called Dropcloth. As always, I will link every single product that I've used in the video in the description below this video, and they're affiliate links, which means if you click them and make a purchase, I earn a small commission. So I'm dabbing this on or stippling it on, and that's going to create my texture. The powder additive just makes your paint thicker. The more powder additive you add into your paint, the thicker your consistency and the more texture it will hold. And before the piece has had a chance to dry, I do it in small sections, so before that section has had a chance to dry, I just like to run over it with a dry natural bristle brush to just smooth out any really high peaks of texture. That way you're not going to get a really kind of gritty look to your piece. You're going to get more of a kind of weathered texture, which is exactly the kind of look I want for this. So this look relies heavily on layering colours because we're going for a kind of fun industrial kind of look, a little bit weathered, a little bit kind of old and grungy with a bit of texture. So the first layer, which is that creamy neutral shade, has been allowed to dry down completely. This is the power of editing because I can skip straight on to apply in the next colour, but just know that I have let that first colour dry down completely. So the next shade is called Florida Orange. It's a really punchy, vibrant orange shade, and it's going to contrast really nicely against the green that my customer has chosen. So I'm applying this really randomly. I'm not adding any water to this because I just want it to cover in one coat, and I'm just adding it where I think it might look good on the finished piece, where you can see a little bit of the orange peeking through the green. You won't necessarily see all of this orange that I'm applying now, but the green is going to be the predominant shade that you're going to see, but I am going to be revealing hints of orange underneath. So that orange was completely dry before I went in with the final and main colour that you're going to see on these pieces. So this one is a really popular colour at the moment. It's called English Ivy, and the last commission I did a couple of months ago was also done in this colour. So it is super popular at the minute. I can see why, and it also works fabulously against that orange. So there's a few ways you can achieve a distressed, layered kind of look. And obviously you can paint lots of layers and distress them, sand them back or whatever, and I've done that in previous videos. Or you can do it a little bit more like this, which requires not so much sanding. In fact, I don't think I did any sanding apart from a little bit of distressing at the end. This is more down to the application of paint to give the impression that there's areas worn away without actually having to sand them. The problem with sanding is you never quite know how it's going to look, because you could sand and then go through the orange to the neutral shade and then it might not look right. Also, sanding can take lots of time and it creates a bit of dust. This way is a little bit more like the fate of the piece is in your control, because you are managing where that orange has gone and you're also managing the coverage of the final colour, which in my case is the green. So I'm just applying this really sparingly with a natural bristle brush to allow areas of the orange and the cream to almost not be fully covered, which will give the impression of them being distressed. So I'm just playing around with placement for this. I'm going to do 2 coats of green to get the full coverage. Obviously you can see where the green sits over the white and sits over the orange, it's going to look different because the colours do vary depending on what's underneath them. So to give them the green full coverage and stop it looking quite so wild, I will be going in with a second coat of the green. But this is really just kind of playing around with where I want the orange pockets to be. And that's why I'm painting it with the drawers in and the cupboard doors closed, because I want the piece to look right as a piece. I don't want too much orange on the left and not enough on the right. So I'm kind of just sitting back and making sure it looks right as an entire piece. If I was painting this with a perfectly polished finish, then I'd be taking the doors off and the drawers out. And obviously that's a completely different look altogether. So I know a lot of people ask why I paint like this with drawers in and doors closed. That's why. If I'm doing a look that requires it to kind of balance out over the piece, I will just keep it in. And that's why I put masking tape around the edges so that they're nice and neat. The second coat of green is going to give full coverage of the green in the areas that I want it. Again, I'm going to kind of skip over or dry brush almost over the orange bits that I want to stay prominent and obvious, and that's just going to give the impression that the green paint has worn away over time and little hints of that orange are coming through underneath. And then a little bit of distressing around the drawer edges is all I did, just to kind of in keeping with that industrial weathered kind of vibe. I just took the drawer out and did around where the drawer fits into the piece as well. The customer is a woman after my own heart. She asked for brown wax and I was very happy to oblige. If you've seen my work before, you know I absolutely love adding a bit of dimension with coloured waxes, and brown is the perfect match for this because it's not going to be too grungy. It's just going to add a little bit of nice antique warmth to it. So when I use coloured waxes, I always put down a layer of clear wax first. I'm just doing that now with a sponge, and then I wipe it back just to remove any excess. You don't want too much wax sitting on there. It's going to be sticky and it's going to be kind of harder to work the coloured wax. So remove any excess with a rag. And then I'm using brown wax with a natural bristle brush. For the majority of the product, when I've got the most amount of product on my brush, I'm just going to concentrate that on the areas that I want to push back and add shadow, which is any kind of detail that's on this piece. So I've got a few recesses that I'm going to do that on. And then once I've got the majority of the product in those areas, I kind of just use what's left on the brush to almost blend it out into the green, because if I left it like this, it just looks like a harsh line where you've ended the brown wax. So I like to just kind of scrub it in with my brush. These brushes are super inexpensive. I use them all the time for waxing and they are perfect for adding a little bit of detail. You can get a nice bit of precision with them. They're not too chunky. So as you can see, I've just kind of scrubbed it in and blended it in to the rest of the door. Then I'm going to take the excess off again with a rag. That's just going to kind of pull back any product that's on there too thick, and obviously it's not going to be as extreme as when you first put it on. If you did want a little bit more brown wax, you can layer brown wax up, absolutely. So just follow these steps and then go back to applying the brown wax, if that makes sense. So you can layer over the top, but make sure you buff it back first. And if you really want to pull back some of the brown wax, if you've gone in too heavy, you can use your original sponge that you applied your clear wax with and almost use it as an eraser. Because you put that clear wax down first, it's going to be a lot easier to manipulate the brown wax and pull it back if you wanted to. Here's the other pieces in the collection that I painted in the same style. Massive thank you to my lovely customer for not only choosing such a fun project, but for letting me show you this on my YouTube channel as well. As always, thank you for watching the video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure if you don't already, you hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you next time. Bye.